Well, I don't know exactly know what happened there. Hey, folks, we are live. Welcome to the Xbox Factor Special Edition. Today, we're going to be live streaming the review of Neon Giants: The Ascent. Now, this is something very special for both myself and, of course, my co-host today, Boxenberger, because we were extremely fortunate to have been allotted the ability to review this game. It's for me personally, folks, it's one of my most anticipated games of 2021. We are going to give our score towards the end. This is going to be about a 45-minute, 50-minute show today because obviously right from here, we're going to be jumping into the Xbox Factor podcast, and that will be going live at 12 p.m., maybe a few minutes before, past the time, because obviously we need to transition from this show and then get right into the Xbox Factor podcast. But I've been talking enough. Let me welcome my co-host of the day, Boxenberger. How the heck are you, man? And I'm really happy to have you here with me today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for the invite. I'm doing great. I mean, it's great time to be a gamer, especially an Xbox gamer this week. I mean, we just got the incredible Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today the Ascent. And yeah, like you said, we were lucky enough to get a review code up front. I had a blast the last 2 weeks playing that game, and I can't wait to discuss it with you, Boom. Thanks for the invite.
Well, thank you for being here because obviously, now listen, for to throw it out there, I was asked if I would like 2 codes, which I of course accepted, and my brother Neo Mental, who is in the chat, what's up, bro? Was playing with me pretty much all day on Monday. So the footage that you're going to see now is just the single player aspects. A little later in the game, so I can kind of show off some of the big powers that you get. I recorded this after midnight last night. I was up playing. For myself, I have over 20 hours. I want to say closer to 25 hours in this game. I'm just about to hit level 20. And you know what? How I judge games of whether or not they're forgettable, whether they mean something to you, is when I'm not playing the Ascent, I'm thinking about the Ascent. And that tells me immediately, and should tell you, that this is indeed something very special. But you know what? Listen, you know who Boxenberger is. You know who Mr. BoomStick is. But you may not know who Neon Giant Games is. Now, let me just give you a quick synopsis of who they are, when they were founded, and who's a part of this team. Now, Neon Giant Games was founded in April of 2018, and of course, they are an independent studio, i.e., an indie studio, but they are packed with talent from former AAA employee game developers that include Tor Frick, Arcade Berg, Jonathan Hickley, and Eric I'm gonna Glowerson. That's what I think. I think hoping and butcher that. And they have been a part of some pretty big games: Bulletstorm, Gears of War, Wolfenstein, Doom, and Far Cry 3. Now, obviously, this is a very small team. 12 people, 12 extremely talented people worked on this game. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. From what we're seeing, from what at least I've experienced, because I can't speak for Boxenberg, and I'll get his opinion momentarily. I am absolutely floored and amazed by what I am playing. It is something that when I saw it in the May event of 2020, I immediately knew this was going to be a game that I wanted to play. Now, classically, my wife and I are huge isometric fans of games like Diablo, games like Champions of Norath, games like Baldur's Gate. I played those for hours upon hours, sometimes an entire weekend with Mrs. Boom. I don't know if she's going to get so much into this because she's not. I don't know if she's a big Cyberpunk fan, but I'm certainly going to offer the ability to play this with her. But I got a chance to play with my brother, and co-op is awesome. And to be honest, so is single player. I'm a loot hunter. Once I get the taste for loot, I can't stop. But Archimedes, let's get your opening impressions of the game from a team, folks, that is only consists of 12 people.
12 people, boom. That's really incredible. If you consider how good this game is realized from a technical point of view. I mean, you see the footage here in your stream now. The game looks absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, you can't do higher streaming settings than this because of YouTube limitations. But in my video review, I have 4K 60 FPS footage from the Series X version and the PC version, and this game is just incredible. And they made that in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
That 12 people made that in the middle of a pandemic. And I played through the entire game on PC, and I played halfway through it on the Xbox Series X version, and I had only minor flaws.
Yes.
Really, that's a little pop in here and there. I had 0 crashes. The game runs really well. The frame rates are very consistent on both versions. It's incredible what they achieved in such a small time. They only developed it 3 years, and 1.5 years of those were while working from home. And yeah, that's just incredible. What can I say? Really talented guys.
Well, I mean, listen, this is, what we're here to talk about. Obviously, this is a live on the air review, and what we have to talk about, Archimedes, right out of the gate is opening impressions.
Yeah.
And listen, I gotta tell you, if you just look at the game footage, you can see that the detail in the environments is something like I've never seen before. Like, it is so ultra detailed, especially now. Right now, we're in somewhere, in like running around within the world. When you get out there and there's actually NPC characters are all around the place, especially in like the towns where you can level up, it's a marvel of what we're witnessing. The graphics wise, this is an extremely impressive title. Now, folks,
Yes.
real quick, just again, it's when you compare this to something, and how I think you should compare this is to what other isometric games are doing in this genre. For instance, the one that comes to mind almost immediately is Diablo 3. And as fantastic and magical as Diablo 3 is, and 4 is going to be, this really does give it a run for its money. I am floored. Boxer Murga, what are your thoughts on the the graphics that we're seeing in front of us right now?
Yeah, truly stunning. It's truly stunning. What they did with the Unreal Engine is really impressive. You just mentioned the extremely detailed environments. There's constantly something happening on screen. Maybe in the background, that you just walk by and in the background something blows up, or the people in the hub areas just talk to each other, react to you as a character.
Yes.
It's not static. It's everything. It feels lived in. Yeah, you walk by a camera and that camera detects you and follows you. It's stuff like that. These little details that are incredible. The texture work is insanely good. When you play that game on a 4K screen, it just looks insanely good. And the art style with the colorful lighting just does the rest. But what really usually gives away that a game is developed from a smaller team or with a lower budget is the VFX work. Yeah, when you have like explosions, smoke, particle effects. That's something you rarely see very well done in a smaller a title, and that is what probably surprised me the most. The smoke effects are insanely good. The explosions look amazing, and when you look at how many particles are sometimes on screen when you blow stuff up, and and these particles actually react to you when you walk through a cloud of particles. These particles react to you. This is amazing. It's
Yes,
really
I mean, like you can see
a
the flames
beautiful
on the
game.
screen right
Yeah.
now that I'm getting destroyed by this boss. Now, listen,
Oh
folks,
yeah, that boss is a bitch.
he absolutely is. But what he drops is, which we're gonna not spoil it. Again, we're not gonna go into. You're gonna again, just to give people the heads up. This is much later in the game. Some of the co-op gameplay, or actually 2 hours worth of co-op gameplay with my brother Neomento, will be used for the Xbox Factor podcast. I kind of just wanted people to get a chance to see some of the big weapons that you get. Like, for instance, you see the thing going around me. It's a whirlwind of razor blades that you can get that tears through people, which is just crazy. And of course, this is an electricity based gun. Yeah, I died again. I died quite a few times on this boss, folks. I don't suck. There's no difficulty.
Oh, yeah.
The difficulty we're going to get to the difficulty spikes towards the end.
I was this close, but with this boss, I was this close to writing the developers and asking them how to beat the guy. It took me, I don't know how long.
it took me quite a few tries.
Yeah, because that's the problem when you play a game pre-launch. Yeah, that you cannot look anything up on the internet. You have to figure it out yourself how to beat him.
Yes, there are no videos. You can't go to YouTube and say, FYI, how do I beat this MF? You can't, so you just have to try and power through it. But you know what? Let's talk about the RPG aspect.
Yeah.
See, the one thing that was lost on a lot of the videos that I have seen in the preview build, the builds that we've all seen, was that this seemed as if it was just going to be a straight up twin stick shooter with a moot story and just a bunch of guns you can add. No, folks, this is a straight up very deep RPG. There is a lot to go into this. I mean, besides, look, if you are a Cyberpunk fan, and I think a lot of us are. See, I got that, boss, after the third time. Go F yourself, boss. What you were able to do in Cyberpunk with changing your sex, your look, you're going from human to augmentation. You can do that here. There are stores where you can go in and have these surgeries done. So if midway through you're a guy character and you're like, you know what, I want to see what a female character would be like, you can change everything. It's crazy. You can change your skin color, your eye color, what your hair. I obviously have a mohawk. You can't see because I have like a tin on my head, but the amount of loot that's constantly dropping. I don't know about you, Archimedes, I found myself every time I saw a gun to pick up, pausing the game to see if it was a better gun. And obviously you can buy these in the shops. There's shops all over the place. There are bounties to turn in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's but keeping with the RPG element, if you are a looter kind of a guy, let's say Destiny is your thing, Diablo is your thing, and you like these types of games that have loot in the background, you're going to be heavily RPGing, if that's even a word, because there is a lot that you have to account for, especially when you level up on where you're going to put your points. What are your thoughts on the RPG elements?
Yeah, like you said, it's a full-fledged RPG. In the previews, I didn't get that either. We knew that there are certain things you can do, certain stat points and stuff, but it's really a deep RPG, just like you expect from every other major RPG. Yeah, you have not just the ability to get better loot, you have the ability to level up your weapons if you found the gun for you, because there's basically everything in there. You have RPG, automated guns, you have shotguns, you have sniper rifles, you have everything in there.
Yeah.
And when you find the gun that is right for your play style, you can also level up the gun. You have to find crafting materials to do that. So it's really up to you, or you just constantly exchange it when you find better guns. It's up to you. You have certain stat points, like you said, and you have to really think about your actual play style, where you spend those points. And then you have those special abilities, active and passive ones, called augmentations, that you have to assign. And level up and everything. And this is just it's a deep RPG. The RPG mechanics are really not like in Diablo. They are there, I would say, in Diablo 3, but it's not that deep. As soon as you hit the maximum character level, you have unlocked all the abilities, and then you have the Paragon system in Diablo, where you get to improve certain stats of your characters. But this goes deeper here a little bit. And I really liked it. I'm an RPG fan. Diablo is probably my most played game on the Xbox One, Diablo 3, and I can't wait to play Resurrected, the remake later this year. But this is it's a fantastic RPG system. I would have wished, this is probably my only wish, that because I found the gun I love very early in the game, and I played the entire game with that gun and just leveled up the gun. Of course, I gave other guns a try, but I always came back to the one gun. But that's just the system. It's and it's fun. It's the loot grind is then more for resources to level up your gun than to actually find a better gun. But it's fun. It's rewarding. I've always felt satisfied when I beat a boss, beat a level, finished up a side quest. I got stuff to do. I got a new armor, a new helmet, whatever. It's rewarding. It's fun. I like that aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, real quick, a couple people in the chat were saying that Skill Up, who's a monster YouTuber, gives it a highly, strongly recommends the Ascent. And that comes from Scalides. He says that that's all I needed to hear. Let's see, who else? ACG, I think everyone knows who that is. Another monster YouTuber. He absolutely loved it. His review was glowing. And listen, folks, here's the thing. I'm going to be putting out, obviously, when we get done with this today's show live stream, we're going to be giving our reviews. My review is my review. So is, of course, Archimedes. And if you choose to go based on what we're going to say during the next 35 minutes or so before the start of the next Xbox Factor podcast, then, listen, great. This is a game that is going to have a multitude of levels. People are going to give their opinions. Please do not, attack anyone for low scores. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I want that to be, right. Throw that right out there now. Some people, like who I just mentioned, and myself and Archimedes, love the game. Some people are not impressed by it. A perfect example of that is Ryan from IGN. He gave it a 7.0 out of 10. He said, I believe his exact words were, "It was a popcorn movie that's forgettable." Okay, well, I mean, listen, I don't know what game he played. That's not the game I'm playing. I mean, it's a popcorn movie with tons of shit to do, but that's just me. What
I mean, if you come to the Ascent or Diablo or any of those games, and look for deep storytelling, I think you will be getting disappointed. That's not what these games are about. Right. I think we all agree that probably the best game in that genre is Diablo, so let's refer to that. And does anyone know the story of Diablo? I played like 300 hours or so in Diablo, and I wouldn't be able to probably tell it, to be honest. It's there. The story is also there in the Ascent. But it's not why you play those games. It's not a story-focused game per se. Right. The gameplay loop is what you play it for. It is, you go out, you level your character up, you get rewarded via loot, and you can do more difficult missions. And that's why you come to these games and play them. Or because you you can do that solo, or you can do it with your friends in co-op and just have a good time there. But yeah, let's be real. It's not, storytelling is not why you play those games. And having said that, it's not that it's a bad story at all. I was happy to find out how it turned out in the end. But it is not a deep storytelling, but it's not the point of such a game. Yeah.
I mean, listen, look, again, we're not going to give our review to the end, but there's a story here. And if you are someone that appreciates lore and you want to take the time to read every text, to read every data pad, to stop and listen to what's up, because when you're like Archimedes had mentioned, when you're walking around the world, people are reacting to you, and your actions. Now, you can accidentally kill civilians. I don't go out of my way to destroy everybody, but that it happens in a gunfight. And actually, my brother and I were laughing because people are like running for cover. How is this happening? People are running for the hill. It's hilarious to look at. It really is. But they're reacting to what you're doing. I mean, if you stand next to a group of people talking, the comic bubbles will pop up. And they are talking about you. They're talking about the environment. They're talking about the world. So I mean, yes, is there a story here? 100%. Is everyone, and I mean everyone, going to want to read? Because I'm not going to lie, folks. You'll see in the video, I'm kind of pressing the A button because, like Gary Duddle, friend of the show, just said, I don't care about story. Let me blow up lots of things. And in the end, that is what it is. Like, for instance, this is a perfect example. This is one of the things that you can click on, gives you a bunch of story, tells the news about what's going on. And I'm not saying I don't care. I'm saying that it's interesting and I am learning the story. But for me, it's not at the top. And I think that Archimedes really hit the nail on the head because both Mrs. Boom and I have gone through 150 hours maybe into Diablo. Diablo 3, we played. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you asked me, Boom, what's the story? Well, the angels and the demons are fighting. And honestly, I know we got to stop the bad guy before he takes over the world. And I know we went to heaven at some point, and all these angels turn the bad guys. That's about all I can tell you. So, I mean, again, make it of what you will for your own review. But there's a lot of things to take into account here, and we have to go immediately back to the fact that this is a team of 12 developers that made this game during a pandemic. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some people like, Boom, you can't make excuses. Well, I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you what look at the screen. This is why I have gameplay. And you're going to get an hour here and 2 hours there.
And Boom, I want to add something there. It's not everyone knows how many developers made the game when you pick a game up. But the other thing we need to consider, it's not a full price title. It is a $30 or euros game, or £25 in the UK. So yeah, it isn't a full price title, although I got more fun and hours out of it than for other AAA releases. Yeah, so we really need to consider that, and looking at the technical quality and how flawless it actually runs and plays. It's an incredible experience for that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, all you have to do is, if you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, download the game. And it's funny because my brother and I were literally talking before we went live, and he's like, before we even started, I had DM'd him. I said, listen, I got a second code. Can you play today? We jumped on. He said immediately, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't played an isometric game in a while. It's not really my thing. Well, don't you know that he's been addicted to it like crack cocaine? Because he actually played it as much as I did. As at one point when I had to do some other things, he went past me in levels. He found some guns that I didn't find, and I was like, yo, we got to play again because I got to get those guns. And listen, this is a game that should not be missed. I think that again, everyone is entitled to their opinions. The way I suggest you approach this is a couple of ways. If you're a fan of Diablo, if you're a fan of those types of games, I think you're going to dig it. If you enjoyed Cyberpunk on whatever level that may be, you're going to enjoy this game. If you are a looter shooter guy or gal, I think you're going to dig it. And the best way that I do things, and again, usually, again, I not media, but I'm part of the gaming, you know, ecosphere, I guess you can say, with having, you know, my channel and 4 live shows a week. When I want to see what other people are saying, like for instance, there's been games that I've watched Skill Up review, and he's like, this is awful, totally forgettable. And even though that's his opinion, and I may or may not agree, I won't not buy a game or play a game based on someone's opinion. So I highly suggest that if you are on the fence of it, you know, you go to your favorite YouTuber, your favorite site, because there's plenty of actual media sites that are not the IGNs, not the Kotakus, and not the GameSpots that are trusted for me. VGC specifically, Game Rant. I like all those smaller sites, and a lot of these smaller sites are really enjoying this game. So does that make it? Does that make IGN's review inconsequential? Well, not really, because that's what Ryan thought. And again, I don't agree with Ryan on a lot of things, but it is still his opinion. But a perfect example, I'm gonna throw him up here because he's my brother and I love him. Side missions, man. Side missions. Folks, there is what seems to be an unbelievable, ridiculous amount of side missions content. Now, I know some people in the chat had asked, I think it was Masshole 1977 had asked specifically how long the game is. Well, I'm close to 25 hours, maybe even past it. And I don't think I'm close to beating it, because I go around every corner. If you like, you'll see if you watch the screen specifically closely, you'll see wherever the green arrow is pointing on the map, I'm running the other direction to look, because I want more guns, I want more loot. How long did it take you to play through it on PC?
Let me look up, because later people will call me out when they see my Steam hours. It took me on Steam 18.1 hours, and I did not all the side stuff, but a good chunk of it.
Okay.
So I would say, yeah, something in between 15 to 20 hours when you do a lot of the side stuff. I could easily put another probably 4 or 5 hours into to do every side quest. Yeah, obviously in my second playthrough on the Xbox that I started, I will probably finish it a little bit faster, because you know the little tricks and everything. But yeah, I would say if you only focus on the main story and don't do any of the side stuff, you can also beat it in something in between, probably 10 to 15 hours, and another extra 5 hours for the side stuff. So yeah, 15 to 20 hours is probably the average playthrough, I would say.
Yeah, my brother's currently at 35 hours and he's not done yet. So I mean, again, it's really entirely up to the type of gamer you are.
Yes, definitely. There's so much, like you said, there's so much to explore. If you start reading up everything on the lore and so on, then it will take you longer. I finished it after 18 hours with level 30. I finally beat the final fight and boss. Yeah, I had an amazing time with it. I'll do another entire playthrough on the Xbox. Unfortunately, the Xbox review code was sent out like Monday or Tuesday, and yeah, I had to start my video, so I only played like probably 4 or 5 hours before I started my video review on the Xbox version. But it was great to see how it holds up against the PC version. I also put in some side-by-side comparisons in my video. And it really holds up well, because I was asked previously on Twitter a lot, where should I play it? Should I play it on PC? Should I play it on the Xbox version? And especially for those who have Game Pass, you can play it wherever you want. It's also out on the Windows Store, so it's also included in Game Pass PC. And I would say it holds up very well in both versions. You can play it. You can compare the PC version on ultra settings without ray tracing to the Xbox Series X version. That's probably the closest you get. It runs at great 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X. Of course, if you have a capable PC, you can also turn on ray tracing there, and DLSS. It supports DLSS 2.1, and you get some awesome results there. So, but I couldn't say that it's more or less fun on one or the other platform. It holds up very well on both platforms, and just play wherever you feel more comfortable.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, real quick, Drawn TJ in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, this game looks beautiful. Indeed, it does. It absolutely does. And listen, all I can say is just keep watching the gameplay, because now you're going to see I'm in one of the local hubs where it's packed with NPC players and lots of things to do, like leveling up your gun, which I'm going to do right now. And there are, let's get into the guns for a second before we get closer to the 45-50 minute mark of today's, because we're going to talk a little bit about this with the Indie Gamer and Jamie Rand on the back end to open up the Xbox Factor podcast. So if we miss something, you'll hear it on the other show, because like I said, we're going from one to the other. The guns, folks, it's bread and butter, at least in my personal opinion.
Agreed.
Now, I don't know if you're going to see it, if you get a chance to see it. There is an augmentation that's not a weapon, because there are different levels of weapons. There's the guns, which you're going to see that there's a ridiculous amount of them. There are sidearms. There are sniper rifles. I just found a Gatling gun. I actually had a Gatling gun that shot missiles. It was ridiculous. It's so OP'd that I don't even know what I'm doing with it. It's just ridiculous. Loot is dropped at your feet and in abundance. You should see I have almost $200,000 in monies. You're never hurting for money to upgrade, to buy a new module or to buy a tactical piece, because the modules give you the ability to throw different types of grenades. There's one that you can throw that gives everyone, including yourself, health, which is not really what I would do, especially if you're trying to kill a boss. But there's EMPs. It's unbelievable. But the variety of guns are just not thrown out there, and they just there's 5 of the same guns with a different name. They're all unique weapons, and they all have their own unique abilities in one way or another. What did you think about the weapon choices, Archimedes?
It's amazing. It's because what we should tell people is that choosing the right weapon changes up your playstyle entirely. If you focus on long range weapons, you really have to take advantage of the amazing cover system. And I think we will discuss about that. Talk about that in a second. If you focus on shotguns, obviously you don't need to take cover. You need to go straight on. Then and this is really changing up your playstyle. I was playing for most of the game with an LMG, and that like with 100 shot magazine. So I basically had to never reload and focused on that. That was just awesome. But once you try out your a different weapon, you suddenly need to really make advantage of different kind of things. Like I said, if you focus on long range, you need to learn how this cover system works. If you focus on close range combat, you really need to learn how to dodge and everything properly. And you also have to put your skill points in a different place then.
Yes.
Obviously, if you focus on dodging as your main evade thing, then you need to put your skill points on agility and stuff.
Your body
like that.
Battery is also something that you can upgrade.
Exactly. And what I had to learn, or what I neglected in the beginning of the game, were the augmentations. It was nice to have them, but they felt not really powerful. But later in the game, and actually you can find it relatively early, you can really find awesome augmentations, and you need to play around with them, because if you have the right augmentations, you're really an unstoppable beast of a superhuman, and you blow everything up, and then that's when the game becomes really fun. So yeah, the weapons, to come back and answer your questions, the weapons are awesome. It's really well designed.
Well designed, a tremendous variety. The achievements, as you can see, they're popping up left and right, and you're doing things to get them, which is great. They're not just popping up for no reason. A lot of thought went into the achievements, but we have to talk about the cover system, folks. Listen, clearly as day, one of the designers, or several, because I don't know their static history. I only found what I can find, are clearly use what they learned from Gears of War's cover system. Because yes, folks, this is where we have to start getting the 5 gold stars for this game. Now, my brother, who I talked about already, and I will continue to talk about because that's my brother, calls me, oh my God, I forgot what he calls me when we played the Division. Roscoe Jenkins is what he calls me. And if anyone knows who Roscoe Jenkins is, he's a guy that's constantly getting himself in trouble. That's me right here. I always seem to turn the corner and get into a firefight. And that's how I play this game. Roscoe Jenkins is always looking for trouble. But one of the things that is fascinating, it's genre changing, folks, is the fact that this 12-man team figured out a way to add to an isometric view an actual working cover system, folks. That's right.
Yeah.
If you are fighting a big boss from a distance, you can duck behind a car, duck behind a wall. But it doesn't just end there and you're just hiding. No. By pulling the left trigger, you reach the gun over and you can shoot over cover. It is incredible, the detail that has gone into this. Please speak about that. And thank goodness you're here, because I would have forgotten that.
No, it was really the surprise from the gameplay element, let me rephrase that. It was the biggest surprise when you consider the gameplay mechanics. Because like you said, the genre isn't new, but this is something I haven't experienced in any other game. And I thought when they introduced it in the tutorial, okay, that's kind of gimmicky. But in the later game, you have 0 chance if you don't know how to use the cover system. And it is really an awesome thing to do in such a game. Like you said, you can take cover behind everything, and it's not hiding. It is really at some point it made click, and I understood how the principle of this system works. And it is basically, you have 2 different levels on which you can shoot. You can stand tall, or when you crouch, you have another level where you can hit enemies. And so you have these, for instance, these little spiders. If you stand tall, you will never hit them. You have to crouch in order to hit them, because they are so low to the ground. And when an enemy also crouches behind something and takes cover or something, you have to either circle around, obviously, or to get on the same level with him to hit him. And this is really sounds complicated. It isn't.
It's not.
It's really not. But it gives so much tactical things you need to consider in the battlefield. When the heat gets and the action is there, you really have to see, oh, there's cover, I can shoot this guy from over there, then I take cover there. You feel like this, like in these cover-based shooters like Gears of War or The Division or something like that, where the core gameplay mechanic is to seek out proper cover. And that is now included in such an isometric game, and that is really awesome. It is the setup for some great firefights. And yeah, like I said, you won't have any chance if you in the later game if you don't know how to use it.
Yes, no, I absolutely agree. It's definitely a big part of the gameplay. And again, you can be OP'd for sure And as you've seen, I was, because obviously I'm a much higher level. You go back, because I go back into some of the earlier levels. Maybe I couldn't open up a door because I didn't have a hack that was high enough. And you're just, if I'm a level 19 and you're coming across guys that are 3s and 4s, you're just literally decimating them. I mean, listen, folks, this is a marvel to be had. Obviously, right now as it stands, for me personally, and we're going to start getting into the review aspect of it. This is already in line for my game of the year for me personally. Now, you may or may not disagree. That's good on you. The two that jump off the page so far in 2020 are teams that consist of a total of 14 people. And that's included Death's Door, which is a game I did not think I was going to like. I turned out that I absolutely love it, which was done by 2 people. And of course, the game we're talking about today was done by 12 people, and that is The Ascent. These are my 2 Game of the Year nominees so far. Now, whether or not that holds, all I can say is that 2021 is going to be the year of the indie. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that on the second half, or the standard Xbox Factor podcast, which you will see in the next 19 minutes. But we got to get into the review because we got to take a minute to grab a drink, start the show, and I'm gonna start with Archimedes first because obviously he is a guest here and he helped me out big time because I wasn't sure if I was going to have to do this alone. Archimedes, let's get your highlights and your lowlights of The Ascent by Neon Giant.
All right. But I start with what probably by criticism of the game because we praised it. There are some minor things I also had to criticize.
Yes.
One thing is the difficulty of the game. The Ascent is not a particularly difficult game. I wouldn't say that. If you start a mission and you have a certain level, you can easily plow through that mission. But then the boss fights come up, and the boss fights can be really tough. There were some we saw that spider earlier. That was kind of frustrating then. I was 5 levels above that boss. I thought I was absolutely overpowered because I plowed through the entire level to get to that boss with not a scratch on my on my health bar. And then the boss came up and I had 0 chance, even though I was 5 levels above him. And that was then kind of a bit frustrating to go back, do some side missions to level up your character even further to beat them. So the difficulty of these boss fights, is probably a criticism from my side. If you know how to get the proper augmentations and whatnot, you can make your life easier, but still that was something that was a little bit frustrating. And then we have obviously not really a big variety in the mission design. Mission design, especially side mission design, is more or less always the same. You go to a certain area, kill a bunch of enemies, get your reward, come back to one of the hub areas that you are just walking through right now here on the footage. But since the gameplay loop is so much fun, it was okay for me to not have a big variety, but obviously it would have helped the game even further to have a little bit more variety there. So these are the 2 things I would also mention. But overall, I had a blast playing that game. I was talking to you in private and said, man, it sucks that I can't talk to anyone about how much fun I'm having with that game.
I know.
I had a blast playing it. Like I said, I played through it on Steam entirely, and now I'm like level 12 or 13 on my Xbox character, and I'm finishing up that playthrough definitely. And I wouldn't do that if I didn't enjoy the game. It's really well done from a technical aspect. The gameplay loop and the reward system, the RPG system is very satisfying, and I had a blast playing it, and I can't wait to play it now with my friends because now I can play actual co-op missions. I definitely recommend that game for anyone who is remotely interested in the genre. It's only a $30 game or €30 game, and like you said, it's also in Game Pass, so no harm done in checking it out. And yeah, so for me it's an 8.7. I gave it an 8.7 in my video review, and yeah, I stand by that. That's a very well deserved score. I can accept basically everything in between, let's say 7.5 and 10. That's a range where I can understand why people might score it a little bit lower or a little bit higher, like you did. That's probably the range where I say that's where the Ascent lands, in between 7.5 and 10.
Well, I mean, listen, here's the thing. For me, there are very few low points. One of the things that I think can be addressed, I don't know if through a patch or not, is the checkpoint system isn't great. You can run through a level and spend 10 minutes running across the level. Sometimes for me, was even 15 minutes. You go to an elevator or you go to another point in the game and you somehow die. You get overwhelmed and you get wrecked. I found myself happen more times than not going back to a starting point. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm back here. Now, the gear I found, I kept. So that at least was that. You don't lose the gear once you pick it up. If it was on the ground, good luck, Charlie Brown. Sorry, you're not going to get it. But if you picked it up and you die, and you'll have it in your inventory. So that's definitely cool. There were some bugs. My brother and I encountered a few of them. There's not a lot of them. And mind you, we're playing without the day one patch that apparently is out. My brother and I loaded into a room and he got stuck. So we had to, then he got kicked out. So then I had to go back to the title screen, invite him again, jump in, then no problem. Personally, I had a couple of the side missions where I got stuck in a room where I was supposed to fight a boss and he didn't come out, and I had to reload. That happened once. And there's one particular mission that I think is glitched. And again, I have to send them the feedback for like you have to find this luggage for somebody. I don't know if there's drugs in there or money. But when I
where you have to find the yellow suitcase.
Yes.
I remember that.
I couldn't finish that mission because every time I went to the spot where the guy was supposed to be there, he wasn't there. I went running around. I thought he was underneath me and above me, and I couldn't figure it out. So there are some bugs. Are there a lot? No. I think that this game holds its weight as a single player experience, because again, I'm a selfish single player kind of a guy. I love that experience, but there are games that I will wave the white flag for multiplayer. Division 2, Destiny, games like that are. Look at the super that I got. This is an augmentation that's like Ryu's super from Street Fighter. It's ridiculously OP'd. That's when you get that later in the game. So where I think this game is going to shine is in the multiplayer. This is the kind of game that you can get together with a bunch of your friends online. It's 4-player co-op and play for hours. Get loot, beat boss after boss, play the story. I'm hoping that they add some boss rush modes to this game, where if if they want to, challenging bosses, maybe they can keep adding content to it, where once you're done with the story, there'll be some DLC with additional story elements to it. I don't know. They haven't really spoken about what they're going to do post-launch, but I can tell you that from first impressions, folks, I mean, just look at the particle explosions that are going on. This game is a masterpiece. So I was battling. My scores went from one to the other. And I settled in on, folks, this is going to come off and maybe a surprise for a lot of people, 9.5 out of 10 for me. I was originally happy to settle in on 9.0 until I realized that I can't live without this game. I'm actually sad that I'm going to have to, and I say have to, holy cow, play the Halo beta, that I have to put this down because it's Halo.
Oh, I take your Halo code anytime. I didn't get one, so.
Oh well, keep checking. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that on Breakfast with Boom, and we're also going to be talking about that on Primetime Gaming, because by the time that show goes live, the beta will have ended. I'm hoping to drop 25 hours, potentially more, into that. I cannot wait to play Halo this weekend. But yes, for me, The Ascent from Neon Giant, of course, was published by Curve Digital, gets a rousing 9.5 out of 10 for Double Barrel Gaming. I absolutely love this game. Since I started it on Monday with my brother Neo Mental, I have gone to sleep thinking about it, and I have woken up thinking about it. My brother Neo Mental, Neo Mental Gaming. No, it's not. He doesn't have a channel yet. Hopefully, one day will. He gives it a strong 9.0 out of 10. He also drops a very generous $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Neo Mental. And folks, listen, I hope you enjoyed the 50 minutes that we were here talking about Neon Giant's masterpiece, at least in all of my brother and Archimedes' opinion. This is something that you shouldn't be missed. This is another fine example of what Xbox Game Pass means for gamers. You have choices upon choices upon choices. And what I love about the service, I mean, besides the value, is games like this will get seen and played by millions more because it's in there. And folks, we got to remember, like Archimedes said to open up the show, it is a $30 title. And I'm going to be honest with you. This does not look like a budget title. It does not play like a budget title. It does not sound like a budget title, which we didn't get into. The sound, the music soundtrack, the background noises, absolutely epic. I used the Xbox headphones with Dolby Atmos, and it was incredible. But listen, we have to talk real quick. Archimedes, you did your video on this. His video review is up, folks. Please go support this man who works so hard on these videos. They are on the level of someone like Colt Eastwood. He puts a lot of work into his stuff. I would dare say that's comparable to what Colt puts out. So tell everyone where they can find you and where they can find the new video that you just dropped this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Boom. Again, it was an honor to be invited here with you today. I had a blast. And like you said, people can find me here on YouTube at Boxenberger. That's the channel's name. If it is okay for you, I just dropped the link to the video in the chat.
Absolutely. Yes.
And people can give it a watch while waiting for the Xbox Factor podcast. It's only like 9 minutes long, so it fits in perfectly as a segue into the main show. And Boom, I see you in 10 minutes. Thanks, guys.
Yes. Well, listen, folks, thank you so much for coming out here to check this out. If you enjoyed today's review of Neon Giant's Ascent, I would ask two things. One, please hit the like button. We had over 200 people here watching live, which is still, again, it's a big deal for this little channel. And please throw it out there on social media. Let everyone know that your favorite YouTubers are doing the reviews. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that Double Barrel Gaming is one of those that you want to help support. So throw it out there to let people know that, hey, Boom and Boxenberger, did the review live. And Boxenberger's got his review out there on his channel. Go check it out. And we'll see you folks in the next 10 minutes. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you very soon.